Shorten the title. If you're speaking well enough to articulate expert opinions, why does the title need to be so darn long? So this is part of the Commonplace Binder 101 playlist. We're going to put that down because this is mostly about speaking. So generally speaking, you want to shorten the title because that's way too long. Now, luckily, it's not 3 lines, it's only 2 lines, but I would like it to only be 1. Now, presenting requires practice. I'm a little bit out of breath from the last presentation because the previous presentation was number 29 and this is number 30, and I've done this less than 30 minutes after the first one. Do it differently. So how am I doing this one differently than last time? Well, I'm out of breath. No, that doesn't count. All these things down here are different, so we've got 20 new things. That's the start, that's the end, that's this video, that's the next video. It's really all the same. But one of the things that marks an expert is a slightly different communication style, which I will get to later over here, but we're not there yet. So right now I need to make sure that all the basics are covered for, just basic communication in the first place. So does my thumbnail match my title? Does it match the first 30 or 15 seconds of the video? Does my description match? I need to make sure that everything looks the same. Classic look. Now, why is this the Commonplace Binder playlist if I'm not going to show the binder? Okay, fine. I will show it. So this is not really a classic version of the Commonplace book. This is more of a modern version that I like to call the Commonplace Binder. So at the beginning it has a content section, and then the things written in the contents section on the contents page relate to these titles. The titles are the same on both, and the titles are also the same on the first page or the second page attached to each one of these tabs. Now, a long, long time ago, not in a galaxy other than ours, as far as I know, people used commonplaces to keep track of all their thoughts. Now, you were probably watching this on some sort of digital device, whereas this is more of like a book. And so before people had computers and iPhones, iPads, I don't know why I'm talking about Apple products, but, back when an apple fell on Sir Isaac Newton's head, which may or may not have actually happened, people were writing down things, which may or may not have actually happened, that couldn't really be verified before people could search them on the internet, or have a chatbot look for them, or really just know a whole bunch of experts in any different thing. And so the classical way to do this is just to look in your commonplace to see if you have any information on the subject. And if you do, you can probably work on that. This is more of a low effort, medium vibes kind of thing. I'm just throwing some stuff up here. I am presenting it to you, and hopefully that is not a bad experience, and probably isn't a great experience, but I'm hoping somewhere in the middle. Maybe my voice is friendly enough to make this okay, but I do sound like I'm in a bit of I sound like I'm in a bit of a rush, and I am tripping over my words because this is not the normal time that I would be recording at, and a whole bunch of things are going on. Yeah. This is an unrelated question. Do I quote with my hands? Do I say, like, John said that... Wait, no. Some people will add the quotes like this, or some people will say, quote, end quote. I don't know. This might be reversed because of the mirroring. I'm not sure. This is a lot less personal than just a face-to-face interaction, so I'm not really sure how I'm supposed to come across. But maybe just talking with hands is enough, and I don't need to quote with my hands. Is it better if this is more personal or less personal? Because I know there are a lot of bots right now, and so I don't really want to talk like a bot, but that would make me sound like more of an expert. Because an expert wouldn't say, like, pause, You don't say pause, but maybe it should give you some pause to not worry. Move on to preference. Some people might have the preference of hearing the uhs and ums, and as of so far, no one has commented on if they should be in or out, so please let me know, because I need to know the answer to that question. Start speaking. So why am I starting to speak if I don't know how I'm supposed to be speaking? Well, if I don't get any feedback, it's kind of hard to know what I'm supposed to do or not do. So, I'm looking at this, I'm relying on my preparation, and I'm just kind of winging it. So this is definitely a focus on learning over winning. I'm not going for exactly the same thing as anybody else, so I don't know that it's going to actually work. And much like the binder, this is more of a learning process rather than being like, oh, guess who's going to be #1 on YouTube? Like, not me. Maybe #1 in the category eventually. If it's a binder, then yeah, sure. All I got to do is keep making videos, and I'll just be #1 because nobody's making videos on that exact thing. At least not multiple videos. A few people have put out like one video on it, but that's about it. Has failed before, so I suppose the expert has failed before. Maybe if I fail with this, it will help me get closer to that. Internal formulation. Maybe it's all in my head. Maybe I didn't think this through. Maybe I should have written this down ahead of time. I don't know. So one of the problems with a commonplace book or a commonplace binder is you do external formulation. It's not actually in the head most of the time. So what's up with that? Well, a very, very long time ago, back in classical times, well, like classical Greece and stuff like that, some people were a little worried about not having the entire process in their head because some people had to externalize it because they just couldn't handle the flow of information, which is, also a problem now. Because the communication tools will increase in quality and then everybody else has to catch up. It's like, oh my gosh, what is happening? But yeah, it can be a little weird when you outsource all your thoughts to another place. Because they're not in here anymore, they're somewhere else. And that's a little concerning. So one thing to do is practice communicating, because if you have all the great thoughts inside and you don't share them, well, nobody's going to know that you have the great thoughts, which is kind of a problem, and that was a huge problem I had as a child. Communication or genius. Yeah, this is kind of the problem. I was focusing on having really high levels of skill in specific categories, but not communicating them. So it's like, am I going to beat someone in a game of chess with just my pawns and knights? Yes, I am. Do I know how to explain how I did that? No. No, I do not. Of course I know how to explain it now, but I also can't, do something that insane. Part of it is, as a child, I would mostly practice against other children, and so there wasn't really a lot of competition. And then I switched schools, and all of a sudden, there were maybe 8 times as many kids at the school. But there was a lot more competition. And every so often I would actually lose, which was quite nice. Not that I was a chess genius or anything. I did lose 15 games over the course of, a decade or whatever at that other school. But when I switched schools, there were some people who actually played against people who knew where all the pieces were. And how they moved and stuff. So it was a little bit more of a challenge. It's still very possible, but yeah, sometimes you might look like a genius just because all the other people have no idea what's happening. And that doesn't mean you should just brag about being oh, I'm Galaxy Brain. No, it's just you did a thing that nobody else did. Or it might be then, you are actually the top of your field, top of your class, because you're just not good. I don't know. But for me, I kind of have to pick one or the other. I can't really do all the communicating, and I can't really do all the thinking. I can only do one at a time. So what I did before making this channel for several years is I did all the thinking, and now I'm going to present all the thinking over the course of several years until eventually I get to the point where some other people can maybe present for me, and then I can go back to actually using my brain, which would be glorious. I would love that. Quotes. Am I quoting my past self? No. Am I quoting the people from like classical Greece or Rome or whatever? No, not really. I did see a lot of quotes when I was a lot younger, and when people used their commonplaces, they would normally write down their stuff in their book, or you could always do that in a binder. Just saying. And the quotes normally summarize everything really quickly. The thing is now, with our digital stuff, you could always, well, there is the option to read the book, of course, but you might use something like SparkNotes to just trim everything down a little bit. And, check all the other information that people have there. Now, I've heard that some people just use the bots, which is kind of upsetting, because back when I was in school, people who read the book would be struggling because they'd be competing against the people who read the book and also checked the SparkNotes. And then the people who just looked at SparkNotes would normally be struggling, just like the people who read the book. But now if they're just like chatbots that can like read you like the entire book and then spit it out at you in like a paragraph, I don't know, maybe people aren't going to use the quotes anymore. Or maybe we will focus more on the quotes. Not sure. You got to convince yourself of the correct method. Yeah, so that's one reason why I think writing stuff down is probably a better idea than just searching it every time. Because if you're not holding on to any quotes, and you're not, working through them, I'm not sure how you're going to convince yourself that they're the best. Unless you're just like, well, the bot said it, so it must be right. I don't know if we really want to do that. Also, I'm noticing that the camera, there we go, a little bit too far over there, so hopefully you haven't just been seeing half of my face the entire time. Maybe. Under pressure. I feel like I'm under pressure. No, it is actually a little hot in here. I should probably turn down the temperature, or, I don't know, switch into some shorts. I probably just have the temperature too high. Presentation. So, I thought that's where the title was going to come from. But no, this is just presentation. So it's kind of funny how this says presenting. These two, I believe, were made after this, because what I've been doing, originally is I grabbed all these from videos or video titles in related categories, and I thought that they would be relevant. Now, obviously, these aren't exact quotations most of the time. If it's one word like preference, then maybe, or quotes. But yeah, what I would do is I set all these up, and then the ones at the beginning were like generated by my own thoughts, not the bot, as sort of like a summarization. So this is supposed to be a piece of advice, and then the second one is supposed to be my results and expectations. I'm not really sure how that works, this results and expectations. And then the things immediately afterwards are related to the notes that I took on the general subject. So, some things have a more classic look, and other things are low effort with medium vibes. I don't know. But yeah, it looks like that is it for today with the commonplace binder. Now, if you want to see me using this as a practice tool, or telling you how somebody might use this as a practice tool, check out the next video. All right, bye.